Hello, and thanks for asking me to join you today for your expert Q&A. My name is Georgina Heffernan, and I'm a former journalist turned digital marketing professional with over 15 years experience working in the media. Today, I'm going to be answering a variety of questions around how you can identify and make use of suitable asset sources for digital media marketing. So, how does the marketeer go from here's my audience to here's the best picture to use? Well, there are essentially two parts to this answer. The first looks at your audience, identifying where they socialize online, and the second part is obviously about image selection. Knowing that you are hitting your target audience at the right time and on the right channel is crucial if you want your marketing efforts to be a success. There are many benefits to using social media, but it's really important to understand your audience before you move forward. For one, your audience will help you determine not only the sort of social platform that you use, but also the content that you create and more. It's important to select the right image based on what your audience engages on that particular platform and each platform's unique factors. Here's an outline of what appeals to your audience depending on what platforms that they use. So let's start with an overview of the most popular platforms out there. And of course, we couldn't start without mentioning Facebook. Facebook is the most popular platform, and most of us have it on our phones and our iPads and our laptops all the time, dipping in and out. But the pictures that are most liked on Facebook show four various characteristics. And that's brightness, clarity, energy, and originally. You know, from a technical point of view, talking about brand posts for clients, they should always be well lit and very easy to understand. You want to communicate the message in the blink of an eye almost. They should also feature something that's playful and creative that will make your audience smile and get their attention. So stock or library images just really aren't going to cut it here. You know, you can also look to your audience for user-generated content, or better still, take your own pictures. Visual content has been prioritized across all of the social media platforms, and its effect on Instagram, which is almost entirely a visual platform, is obvious. There are over 1 billion active monthly users on Instagram, and over 95 million videos and images are shared each day. And those images and videos garner more than 4.2 billion likes. So how do you engage people on this unique and incredibly popular platform? The answer is through beautiful and creative pictures. You want these rather than photos or graphics, which don't perform particularly well. Instagram is a visual medium to connect with your followers, so the power here is in the photograph and in getting it right. You know, a lot of amateur photographers make the common mistake of taking a photograph with full exposure and brightness, thinking that that's the way to, look professional. But here the details get lost. Learn to adjust the exposure of your camera and shoot pictures just a little bit darker. You can always adjust the exposure and brighten up the image in post-editing, but this is the more professional way to take pictures. Remember, don't overuse filters and try to use things like primary colors to give your pictures maximum impact. You know, you can read up on photographic rules like the rule of thirds, patterns and symmetry, leading lines to help you compose better pictures, but also to give you the edge. Previously, Instagram only allowed you to share one image or photo at a time. But with the rollout of carousel posts, users can now post up to 10 photos in one post, allowing followers to swipe through a variety of different types of content. These images are great because they're fantastic for visual storytelling. Use them to create a narrative about your client's product, an event, or even what it's like working with the team. It's worth mentioning also that user-generated is a great way to get impact and engagement on this platform. It also gives an authentic view of your brand from the customer's point of view And peer-to-peer recommendation these days is worth its weight in marketing gold. In LinkedIn, informative images are likely to get more eyeball attention than text only. And these are 3 times more likely to get shared across social media platforms than documents. As LinkedIn is aimed at the professional community, you need to pick the sort of images that reflect this ethos, so it's a little bit more formal in nature. Think about infographics or videos that will share up-to-date data or even reports with top-tier stakeholders for your engagement and the sort of content that you will share on LinkedIn. Also, if you want to try and make your communications that extra bit professional, go to templates on sites like Canva for pre-designed graphic designs that will help you really get your brand on message. It's worth mentioning that you cannot copy and paste images that you find on Twitter unless they are in the public domain or for limited fair use purposes. So you need to be careful about choosing images there. You can, however, add a Twitter widget to your website if you want a lively feed of your discussions and your debates on Twitter. Remember, posts with visuals attract 94% more engagement than those without, so remember to include a really great picture in all of your posts. But you know, not all pictures are created equal. Indeed, the most unfortunate way to start any marketing campaign is with a dated stock image. Bypass the sort of pictures that blend into the background and try and create your own, or if you've a slim budget to work with, remember that there are many amazing stock websites that are completely free, such as Pexels and Unsplash, where you get kind of lifestyle pictures that work really well today in the kind of commercial environment that you'll be working in. Another way to greatly enhance your original image output is to use templates. Whether it's for sharing details of an event or motivational quotes, templates can help save you a lot of time and efforts. Plus, it's a great way to create consistent visuals for the brand that you're representing. Yet again, platforms like Canva or Venigay are really ideal for producing this sort of content. Use bold colours and even illustrations to help get your message across and make your brand stand out from the crowd. It's worth mentioning that video is now an essential part of the marketing mix, and today 87% of marketing professionals use video as a marketing tool. If you are just getting started with video and want to, experiment with the medium, creation sites such as InVideo or Canva help you with pre-made video templates that you can roll out on social media, and they're incredibly easy to use. So, in the scenario where you have multiple audiences that you want to target, can you use the same image for all of them? Okay, in some cases, yes, you can. If you are rolling out a marketing campaign across social media to promote, say, a new product, you want a uniformity of message. And because of this, you will, of course, be using the same image again and again. And this is to reinforce the branding message. I'm sure you've noticed, for example, when a new movie comes out, you'll see that same image on social media, on the bus stop, plastered across your town on posters. So in that way, you'll see uniformity of branding when many companies are launching a new product. However, this is the only exception, because different audiences need different images that speaks to them in their voice. You wouldn't use the same picture on an Instagram post, for example, where the vibe there is very carefree and fun, in comparison to what you'd use on LinkedIn, where it's really quite formal. So how much space should the product when advertised take up? And is there a general rule? So what I'll tell you about here is white space, and that's the unmarked area of an image. It is a fundamental principle of design, often overlooked by non-designers, and properly used, it can drastically enhance the appeal of an image for social media or otherwise. It can be used to help create balance in a visual structure, and the composition gives the eyes somewhere to rest. The easiest way to use white space to improve your design is to feature wide margins along the outside of your image. The product must also be photographed in a way that it demonstrates its benefits and features. The main focus of your advert should be an attractive image of the product with enough space allowed for headings and for text. Also, if we use clothing as an example, it's perfectly all right to feature on a part of a garment such as a cuff or a collar. When it comes to selecting an image, your priority needs to be on communicating the right emotion. And what you really want to do is make a connection with the person on the other side of the screen. And the easiest and most effective way to gain their confidence and their trust is through their heart. When an image yells something like protection or confidence, it's much more powerful than something that just conjures up smiling woman or stunning landscape. You really need to capture their attention with a powerful emotion. If you want a little inspiration, look at the really famous Christmas commercials from the likes of Debenhams or John Lewis, because those ads are crafted by the people at the top of their game, and they know all about hitting you at the right spot and getting you to spend. Depending on the budget that your client has, you might be lucky enough to have the opportunity to collaborate with a photographer, stylist, graphic designer to create a conceptual photograph. So what do I mean by that? Well, we've all seen those crazy pictures of, say, the Mona Lisa blowing bubblegum, or a fashion shoot where a model seems to be doing something like flying. Well, that's conceptual photography in a nutshell. Creative conceptual photos have a timeless popularity, and they're a great tool when you're trying to get somebody to visualize a concept. We love this one by Platt and Urich because it can deliver a punch that will work with a variety of advertising messages. For example, the old plane and the flying woman capture a real sense of freedom, escape, travel journeys, and moving forward, while the combination of the vintage airplane and the pink sunset invites the viewer to leave the ordinary and for a moment plunge into a different fantasy world. This image delivers on multiple levels while still offering space for copy if necessary. Cheesy stock images just don't look good in front of today's savvy consumer, but that doesn't mean that you need to ignore the stock image marketplace altogether. Instead, you can get plenty of fantastic royalty-free images on stock or sites like Pixabay, Unsplash, and even Pexels. So really explore that, because these images don't look anything like the usual boring and dull stock photography that we've become so accustomed to. So, are there any general do's and don'ts when it comes to selecting the right image for your ad? Okay, so let's take it from the top. Do use bright, attractive colours. Research on visual understanding has shown that people respond best to bright, saturated colours before we look at cooler tones that don't tend to engage the eye as much. Warm colours are generally more prominent. They tend to feel they are advancing towards us, while cooler colours tend to fade more into the background. That suggests that we can use bright, warm colours to encourage viewers to look at specific areas of our image and really engage them in a particular advertisement or presentation. Also, don't post anything that's too adult or provocative, and shy away from using images that feature minors or might offend people from a different religion or ethnic group. If you're featuring an image of a customer, for example, make sure that you have their consent by getting them to sign a simple consent form ahead of publication of the image. Don't use pictures that simply aren't the right size. Most social media platforms will have recommended photo sizes. Facebook, for example, the pictures that you upload there automatically resize at 470 pixels. So it's recommended that you upload a larger picture to basically preserve the quality. Twitter recommends that photographs on its site should be 440 by 220 pixels. For a more up-to-date guide on social media image sizes, go to Sprout Social's main website and you'll find all of the information there. Don't just throw anything on your social media channels for the sake of having something up there. You need to make sure that it's high quality and relevant to your brand. Consistently using good visuals is a great way to make sure that your customers keep coming back for more and they won't just scroll past your content. It will help your business feel more professional and more legitimate in the customer's eye. For example, if you're reposting user submissions, are there any copyright concerns that you really need to take into account? Well, to stay on the safe side, assume that the content creator or publisher owns the right to their own work. For example, platforms like Twitter or Instagram include conditions within their terms of service that allow users to keep the rights to what they post, but they also give the networks rights to use the content posted without any fee or any royalty. Keep following the rules in mind when reposting user submissions. Honestly, giving credit is the easiest way to cover yourself, and really it's the right thing to do. Include a line at the end of your post, just tagging the person who originally created the content so that they're linked in the communication and you've basically let them know that you're using their work. Very often they're happy that you're sharing their work and giving them a little shout out, so it's not all bad. Indeed, asking is the best way to cover yourself when you're reposting a photograph. You can email the user or just comment on the post asking for consent. Some bigger companies like the Coca-Colas of this world will leave a comment linking back to their guidelines and ask the user to respond yes as a way of a sort of an on-the-go contract. You know, integrity is really important. Never try to pass content off as your own. There are many cautionary tales of people being sued because of this, and it's one of the worst things you can pull. How do you expect clients to trust your platform or your service when you're not an honest person online? This might sound really obvious, but never use somebody else's content to promote your own work. Never ever use a user photo for advertising or even paid campaigns, unless again you have the authority to do so, or that person created the image with the knowledge that it would be used for this end. This is the quickest way to get into legal hot water, so make sure that you always have the authorization to use an image for a particular and specific purpose. So where else might you find great images to use online? There are a variety of free image sites where you can use images without attribution and also have a license to edit. When you search online, the same few generally pop up, and that's because they're great. So generally Pixabay, Unsplash or Pexels are the go-to sites for most professionals looking for free imagery for their social media. Reshot is also great if you're looking for images that are more unique, less polished, and have that user-generated content feel. Gratisography is also a fantastic site if you're looking for something weird and wonderful that will really stand out. And of course, we couldn't talk about free image sites without mentioning Flickr Creative Commons. I mean, you could spend hours looking at the weird, wonderful and amazing copyright-free images on Flickr. When you search, select commercial use and mods allowed, and that way you can find images that you can edit, change and add your own flair to. Remember to choose the accurate license when you're looking on Flickr Creative Commons. What's actually fantastic about this site is that you can explore by colour and style of the photograph, which is really fantastic if you want to get amazing on-brand images for your client. The great thing about Flickr Creative Commons is that there's literally thousands of images to choose from, so have fun browsing. How does the marketeer go from here's my audience, so here's the sort of text I should use? Okay, so here's a few tips on how to get the right text, the right marketing communication for the right social media channel. Since Instagram is first and foremost a platform for sharing imagery and videos here, the main focus here is on the picture. But it is necessary to give a little context as to what that picture is about so that viewers know what they're looking at within reason. Generally, people don't come to Instagram to read long-form content. And while Instagram doesn't seem to specify a maximum amount of characters, your post is cut off after the first 3 lines. So doesn't it make sense to do shorter, snappier posts that basically work well with the image? Just keep things simple. If you want to add more text on Instagram, make sure that the most important information, such as calls to action, are at the very, very top of your post. And then you can put things like hashtags, mentions, and incidental details at the end. Considering its broad appeal and the amount of people that are engaging with Facebook, it's a great place to focus your marketing efforts on. Ideal status updates on Facebook are 80 characters or less, because after all, people don't come to Facebook to read long-form content. It's no secret that people's attention spans can be quite short, so on Twitter, keep your copy short, snappy, and interesting. Don't be dry. Use this opportunity to showcase your personality, because corporate writing can very often sound dull and stiff, and who wants that? You must remember that Twitter is more current than most of the other networks, and it works well here if you deliver timely messages with great headlines. Facebook is better for the longer form content, in comparison to Twitter. But whatever platform that you're posting on, remember that different messages will be received better at different times of day. So you always have to look at the analytics to basically see when the best time to post your message is. With the LinkedIn, you have a great opportunity to publish with purpose and share what your client has been doing with stakeholders and peers. As this is a business platform, there should be some degree of formality to your posts, but not so much that it reads like a corporate sales pitch. Take the wall down and speak directly to your customers without any of the fluff. It's important to let your customers know what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you've got multiple audiences that you want to target, is it best to tailor that text to reach each audience specifically? And if so, why? One of the most significant priorities of producing content is you want to make something that will basically have an impact on the audience that you want to reach. This is especially important in your text, and this needs to be appealing and consistent if you want people to actually take the time out of their busy days to read it. You should be always thinking about new and more powerful ways to resonate and to reach the audiences that you are targeting. So think about new and creative ways to reach them and really engage with them on an emotional level. Where written content is involved, having a strong sense of intimacy with your target market is crucial if you want to craft copy that will achieve the desired result. Indeed, you need to cultivate a really strong sense of who that audience member is. You need to know about their age, occupation, gender, hobbies, motivations, and so on. But also about their reasons for communicating with you and reading your content and what they hope to get from it. Indeed, carving up this clear picture will help you appraise your copy and also guarantee that it interests readers by giving them answers to their problems. Once you feel confident that you have a clear picture of your target market and a strong knowledge of who they are, you can focus your copy so it's generally and genuinely valuable and beneficial to them. So how do you know what tone to take in your copy? Should you be serious or more casual? Is it okay to use slang words? Well, it depends on the brand you're representing and the platform that you are posting on. For example, if your brand is young and hip, by all means, speak to them in their own voice, but never use slang because it reflects poorly on you as a social media manager, and it also lowers the tone of your brand. Obviously, if it's a serious brand, such as your local hotel or even a dentist you might be managing, keep it friendly and approachable, but also always professional. So at this stage, you might be asking, are there any do's and don'ts when it comes to writing the right sort of copy for your ad? Well, do be honest and authentic. Speak to them as you would a friend. That's a really great way to foster engagement and get a great response. You can also grab the attention of your readers by posing a thought-provoking question or making a comment that they want to engage with. This is a very good tool for helping people to stay with you and to keep reading. Do keep it short. Remember, the text should be in the article rather than the social media post promoting it. Write just enough to make people want to keep reading. Remember to write to help people and solve their difficulties rather than sounding too salesy. Write towards your audience to guarantee that your content is really important to the people that are reading it. Let people know about the fantastic things that your company does. We want to read good news about the companies and brands that we follow, so don't be modest about sharing your good news with the world. Write about it using the present tense, so it's current and it seems time sensitive. Don't answer immediately to a sharp comment. Think through your answer precisely because remember, you are representing your brand. Additionally, when you do reply, don't be short, but make sure that you acknowledge the comment. Remember, don't sound like a robot. People don't want to hear from a machine. They want to hear from you. They want real emotions and feelings related to their post or to their comment. Don't write like everything is always fantastic. It's unrelatable and gives the impression that your company is not being authentic. Even the biggest brands in the world have things that go wrong, and the very smart ones are the ones that acknowledge it. Another huge don't is bad spelling and poor grammar. This will make you lose all credibility. So use an app like Grammarly to check any post before you post it. Don't show any sort of political affiliation in any of your posts. You can end up dropping a lot of your supporters because by doing this, you will lose any sort of trustworthiness instantly. Okay, to wind things up, we're going to look at a checklist for checking your ad copy. So, number 1, for any ads that you're putting out on social media, edit them. Edit them at least twice. Remove any kind of jargon that people mightn't understand. Remember, write for your audience. Test your ad copy with organic posting to see what they respond to most. Consider the scrolling experience. Spend time with the call to action. Make sure that you have selected the right image and experiment with fun things like emojis. Thanks for watching. I hope you found all of this information useful.